This is the walkthrough for the MS9 assignment in Unit 14. We're going to be starting a new drawing file from scratch. Start drawing. We're going to go to the units for the drawing. We're going to set them to architectural units. We'll set the precision to the nearest 16th. Next, limits. Lower left corner, we leave at 0, 0. Upper right corner, 68 feet in the X, 44 feet in the Y. You're welcome to adjust your grid and your snap to something that's a little bit larger than ½ inch, maybe 1 foot. Maybe make major lines every 10 feet. Turn off adaptive grid. Now we have 1 foot increments on the grid, and you can see every 10 feet. We've got some layers to make. Here are the layer names with proper colors and line weight assignments. Make the board layer current. We'll go to our text styles. I'm going to make a new style called Country Blueprint. Country Blueprint. We'll use the Country Blueprint font at a height of 0. Double click the wheel is going to give us our zoomed extents, and now we can start drawing. We'll need a border to get started. Rectangle starting at 0, 0. Rectangle is 64 feet by 40 feet. Okay, and our drawing is going to take place in this area. There are 2 primary ways to make this drawing. The first one would involve going around the room. If you have measured the room, you measure every wall. Our angle for the walls are 45 degrees. And if we have the wall measurements, we can draw the interior of the classroom. Then we'll offset the line outward to make the exterior of the wall. We can add our doors and our furniture after that. That's method number 1. Method number 2 would be to know the measurements across the room this way and across the room this way, to know how far of a distance we have for the chamfer here on the corner. Same thing up here. What kind of chamfer distance are we talking about? And then for here, how long is the wall and what is the angle? Right, so if we have those measurements, that's a second way to go about laying out the room in AutoCAD. So I'm going to go the second method first. If you are in the online class, I'm going to provide you with a document that shows you the sizes of the room. And if you're not in the online class, then you are measuring the room up yourself. Right? So let's look at the how to draw it for the online students. The room is basically a rectangle. So I'm going to just draw a line to get started on the walls layer. And I see the interior dimension from the inside of the one wall to the inside of the other wall is 29 feet 6. So I'll do an offset of 29 foot 6. And that's going to give me the distance I'm looking for. 29'6". And then the other distance from the left to the right side is 38 feet. So I'll do a distance 38 feet. Okay, and within this rectangle, I have the area of the room I'm working in. I'll do a fillet with a radius of 0 to clean up the corners. And then from the left corner, I'm going to come over four feet to the right. 4 feet. Okay, so now I'm coming over 4 feet. One more time. From the left corner, track over 4 feet. So starting on the corner here, I'm going to come on over 4 feet. Because I know if I go 4 feet to the right and I go 45 degrees, I'll also have 4 feet down from here to here. Distance, bam, bam, 4 feet. On the right side, you can do something similar. Just a small circle as a marker. Moving it over 8 feet. And then from the center point on the circle, 8 feet down. Next, 4'6" up, 4'6". And from there, 8 feet up. And we're drawing a 45-degree angle. 45 angle continues to here and then comes down. Right, and this odd shape, I know this is a really strange shape, this odd shape is the shape of the classroom in the MS building. MS9 has this shape, and MS10 has the mirror image of it, the opposite shape. Alright, but that takes care of the interior measurements for the walls. So now what do we do? Well, we're going to create the thickness of the walls by doing an offset of 6 inches. And if we want to make it a little bit easier to work with, we can join all these lines together and then do an offset of 6. All right, because that's less work than doing them one at a time. I'm going to do a lot of work on the walls though, so I'll explode them back into lines now. Because this wall is going to continue for a ways, as is this end of the line. So we'll grab the grips and pull. And with a little bit of line work and a little tracking, I'm going to show the appearance of the room as well as to the side, the adjacent rooms. Trim in here and here to clean up the wall intersections. I'll extend that guy down to there, and then extend to that line, these two. This way everything looks nice and even. And I'll do something similar over here. A little trim. And extend out to this line, enter these two lines. Okay. Now, how do we make the little storage room? How do we make the foyer, the entryway? Well, the easiest way to do it is not to crawl on there with a tape measure and look around. The easiest way to do it is to do some offsetting. Okay. But it's kind of important where you offset from. If you offset this wall and these walls, and you offset them from the wrong place, like here, well, now you'd also be offsetting that line, mirroring that line. And what that does is it gives you 6-inch walls everywhere, but 12-inch walls here, and that's not good. So we're not going to do that. We actually need to find out where is the midpoint along the 3-inch wall, right there. And if you're going to mirror, that would be the best place to mirror. Okay, so find the midpoint and come straight down. And you see what we got now? We are left with a 6-inch wall here, and then the mirrored walls on the other side. Okay, we'll delete that guy. All right. Looks all right. So walls are done. I'm going to turn on my line weight button. My border should be nice and heavy. My wall should be nice and heavy. And that looks good. So our next step is going to be create some doors. The instructions say the doors are 3 feet by 3 feet. So create our symbol for the door. We have a 3-foot line and a 3-foot line at 90 degrees to it, and a 3-foot circle centered on the vertex, 3-foot radius. I will trim the rest of the circle, get rid of the extra line. This is my door symbol, symbolizing the door as well as the swing. If you want to get fancy, you don't have to have just a line. You can make your door panel thick. 1.5 inches, 2 inches, whatever makes you happy. Look at that, now I have a fancy door. Okay, my next step is going to be to group that geometry together, because when I select any part of it, I want to get everything. So make the group and then make sure the grouping button's turned on so it actually behaves like a group. Right, where are these doors going to go? Go back to the wall layer. Let's make our openings for the doors. So starting at this point, I'm going to go 4 feet to the right. And I'm going to offset 3 feet. And trim. That's my first door opening. The rest of the door openings aren't called out with a dimension, but they do say that the doors are 6 inches away from the intersecting wall. So we'll take the corner and we'll go up 6 inches, and then we'll do our offset to create the opening there. Trim. We'll do the same thing over here. We'll make our line. We will move it 6 inches. And then copy it in that direction, 3 feet. Trim. And for the exterior, getting out into the hallway of the building. Same thing. We'll move that over 6 inches. And then we'll do our offset of 3 feet. And then trim the door opening. Alright, so now here's our door. Those are our door openings. We can start placing these where we need them. If you make the door panel thick, just be aware where you grab it from. You could always grab it at the end of the arc and copy it or move it to the next opening. And then of course some of these are going to need to be rotated or flipped. Rotate. This door is here. Arc to there. This door gets rotated. And you might have noticed that exterior doors swing out of the building. Interior doors swing into the room. Doors usually swing so that they stop at 90 degrees and hit the wall. Doors like this are kind of odd because they leave this dead space behind that you have to figure out what to do with. But if you look around your house, that's generally the rule on placement of doors. This door is angled at 45. From here to here. Alright, and there's my doors. There are other doors. We can hit them by the mirror command just to make things easy. We can mirror the opening and the door and the other opening, and then this door and its opening, and then even this door and its opening, mirroring off the vertex there. Right. And that'll give us the opening from the other classroom into the storage room. That'll give us an opening from the other classroom into the foyer. This guy needs to mirror because his swing is a little bit different. And then we'll trim. Okay, and then trim up whatever else needs to be trimmed. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Everything looks nice and clean. I can clean that up. Alright, pretty happy with that. Alright, so border is set up, walls are set up, doors are set up. Next thing would be to go in and make our desks. So for the desks, we'll go to the furniture layer. We'll go and make the desk, and there are 2 sizes of desk. The desks have a fillet. If you take a look in the classroom, you see the corners are rounded off. So find the radius. And if you're working with the polyline, you can fillet them all in one shot. Okay. And then the desks are rotated at 45 degrees to match the wall. This is the wall where the screen is, where the teacher sits. Hard to tell when you're sitting in the room that you're actually sitting in rows that are at a 45-degree angle, but the fact is you are. You're at an angle to the exterior wall, which is kind of freaky when you're sitting there looking forward. You don't really realize it. Okay, so now we want to position these desks in the correct locations. You could do a little bit of offsetting to get the distances that you want. from the back wall or the front wall of the class to that first row of desks. Just make sure you're being really careful about snapping so that everything lines up precisely and exactly. And we have another row of desks. Adjacent to the teacher's desk and the desks in the front of the classroom. And then we have a couple of distances we need to work off the sidewall also. Again, offset, easiest way to locate things precisely. And if you're moving things with polar turned on, everything should go where it's supposed to. We've got a distance between the rows that you want to include. And then another distance to the next row of desks.
Score. Come here. Hey.
It looks like the teacher's desk is about halfway along the edge of the first student desk here. That looks right, based on my memories of the classroom. And then we have a couple more rows of desks. Four, 6, 7, 5, and then 2. All right. Over in the back corner of the room, we've got some countertop. Counters are 2 feet deep. So offset, offset, and offset. And if we had measurements, we would go in and set our measurements up for the distance of the counter out from the corner of the room. Not having measurements, I can tell you that the counter stops at about midpoint on that desk, and it goes at a 45 angle back to the wall, and then the counter, same thing, midpoint here, and goes back to the wall at 45 degrees. doing a measure up in the room would give us a nice as-built drawing. But we're doing the best with what we can with what we got. And chances are, if we're doing the class online, we've never even seen the classroom. Right? Okay, countertop, desks. There is a plotter in the back corner of the room. There is a printer, laser jet, up on the counter here. Okay, they are window dressing. I didn't measure them. I'm not going to measure them. Stick them up on there so we remember, hey, we got something back here that the door bumps into, and we have something up on the counter. Okay, and then we need chairs and we need computers, and we're going to go steal them out of another file. So you remember furniture? Okay, we have student chairs that do not have arms. We have the teacher's chair, which has arms, and we have this snazzy keyboard and dual monitor computer. Do you remember how to get this thing over into your other drawing? Control C will copy the blocks onto the Windows clipboard. Control V will bring them in. And then you want to assign them to the correct layer, which is furniture. Okay, so now what I would do, if I were you, is I would stick a computer on a desk and get it all rotated and perfect. And then, unlike the office arrangement drawing, it's not super critical, the location of that keyboard and those monitors, but it is kind of critical that they are all the same. If every one of these was in a different place, even slightly, the drawing would look kind of snaggle-toothed and not very professional. So you want to set up one desk with one computer and one chair, and that becomes your pattern. And then we can copy from the midpoint on that desk to the midpoint on that desk to the midpoint on that desk to the midpoint on that desk. All right, instead of doing one at a time. And then when you're done, you can even go in there and get all four of them and copy from the midpoint on that desk to the midpoint on that desk and the midpoint on that desk and the midpoint on that desk. All right, I mean, why do one at a time when you can do lots at a time? I need two. Copy midpoint to midpoint. Oh. Get the chairs too. I don't want to have to do any more work than absolutely necessary. Boom. Boom. And you know what? If I stick one out in space, who cares? I can always delete it later. Go bye-bye. Alright, the teacher's computer is on the other side of the desk, so we can do a little mirroring. Locate it where you want. Move it to someplace comfortable. Take that deluxe armchair there. Move that into position. Alright, and we've got our classroom set up with walls, with doors, with furniture, with countertops, with plotters, and with printers. Looking good. Our last step would be to add some text. I'm going to do some single line text. Set it up here. It's going to be 6 inches tall. storage. Down here is the foyer. Oh, and we see out in the foyer we've got some countertop, don't we? So, my bad, back to furniture. Two feet deep. This is supposed to be a reception area for a receptionist. That's quite the fantasy someone had, huh? That we have a receptionist out there greeting people when they came in. Okay. Storage, foyer. And then on the side of the drawing, rotated at 90 degrees, we need some text. So, rotate. Okay. There is some big text in the drawing. The big text is the title of the drawing. So we'll go to the quick properties, and that text is not going to be 6, it's going to be 12. And the title is CAD Lab MS9. Two other bits of information that we're going to include. First one is the scale that we're going to print at. And we're going to print at a scale of 1/4 inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. Okay, so when this prints out, somebody could pick up a measuring tool and take some measurements, and they should match up to what's there. And then our last little piece of info is your name. Okay, and then seeing what we got, we can take that and position it where we like along the right side there. Feel free to adjust the location of the text until it makes you happy. And that will take care of our walkthrough on setting up the MS9 CAD Lab drawing using our basic architectural drawing skills.